Welcome to Al Stock Trades. How's everyone doing today? Oh, every time I go live, I get a phone call. It is just the most interesting thing ever. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I'm post call. What that means is I've been working around 25ish. This time I don't think it was 30. It was 25ish hours. And then it wasn't too bad. We didn't get a lot of consults. Which is good, right? Um and yeah, I was able to have some extra energy. Um Hold on, let me just text him right now. Sorry, I'm getting a lot. Yeah. You literally just called me when I'm on live right now. Literally, how funny is that? Okay, sorry. Literally, I was been trying to get a hold of this gentleman here for like an hour, and as soon as I hit the live button, this is how it works, isn't it? So yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Just want to give you guys some love. Happy Sunday. Um, I feel like I've been so far away from you guys. It's been quite some time, and I miss you guys a lot. And yeah, I mean, so lots have happened. So I honestly, before I even began, um, excuse me here. I like kind of, I don't like go to CNN for my news. I just like it to look at kind of the big thing. What is the world looking at, right? Um, and I'm sure Fox News is probably you know, yeah, you see, like Fox News is not even. It's kind of a small little thing here. You know what I mean? It's hard to see kind of. This is a pretty big deal. So for people that don't know, if this is the first time you're hearing this, um, um, this so I'm sorry. The Iranian president's plane has been missing for hours after a remote helicopter crash. This is a pretty big deal. This again with the whole Iranian Israel tensions and the whole nuclear facilities and just kind of, you know, there's going to be a lot of kind of speculation that comes out of this. Again, this is not related to Clover Health. I just wanted to kind of bring this up to your attention. I feel like kind of, if you haven't heard about this, this is a pretty big deal. So was it intentional? I'm not too sure, but are people happy about this? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't like anyone hurting, so I don't know. I'm just kind of like a hippie when it comes to that. So, but anywho, just keep it on your radar. This is a potentially could start a coup, which has happened before in Iran, and just just keep it on your radar. I don't think it's going to affect the markets or anything, but anywho, just wanted to do that, show you that. All right, so how you how you doing, Patrick? And yes, SC, you are first. Ayo, happy Sunday. Good evening. 8:30 for Eastern time fans. Hey, absolutely, absolutely. Get the coffee ready out. Gonna be a huge week. Hopefully, Nvidia earnings will carry the market in a positive way. Absolutely, there's a lot going on this week, and boy, oh boy, what in the world happened last week with GameStop and AMC, and what a crazy, crazy, crazy event. You can see it right here, guys. This whole thing just literally shot up. So I'm just kind of gonna clean off the noise here and show you IWM, which is a small cap ETF, Russell 2000, kind of like the S&P 500 ETF, but for small caps, which is important when you discuss Clover, which is a small cap. Okay. So, you have like a descending wedge here, and it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. We're like, oh yeah, it's either going to go up or go down. We're planning on it to go down, given that there's no news. It went down, and then all of a sudden, then it just collided back up. And as soon as it broke out of that, we had this, you can see the gap up, right? It's kind of funny how like technical analysis works. That gap up is right on that line we drew from again, I did not draw this line today or yesterday or last week. I drew this line about a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right? So it shows you how I use technical analysis for long-term, like on the daily chart. You can for the day trading, but it's just nice to kind of see where things are going here. So then it gapped up. So the next level of resistance would be the 200-day simple moving. So the red is the 200-day simple moving average, and the yellow is the 50-day, right? So again, I like to use both because when these cross, this is a pretty big deal because we've had some crosses for the 200-day moving average, but it was always met with just defeat. So it's being tested right now. We broke out of it intraday, but then kind of all eyes are on here. Now, what are ways that can break the stock out of that 200-day? Well, you can see, they did the $20 million repurchase. It didn't really do anything. I mean, obviously it did a lot, right? But that, again, how much of that was, roaring kitty, and how much of that was actually, again, it's a combination multi. You can't isolate it, which is tough. But I know that after they did that earnings, it kind of went up, but pre-earnings. So how much of that, was there news leaked or just people were anticipating? So again, it's very difficult to kind of dissect that out because the markets don't make sense sometimes, right? And you can see they're irrational. But overall, from a long-term perspective, again, we're speaking short-term. We're speaking in days here. 16 days. It's very difficult to kind of find a meaning in the short term because it doesn't make sense, right? Long-term wise, we know that when the company buys more shares of something, it what was it called? Megaphone bottom? See, these words are so funny. When a company buys more shares of itself, it removes those available shares, causing the intrinsic value to go up because of that, right? And also, it gives investor confidence. Again, I'm not going to explain to you, guys know this, right? This is like explaining, if you guys were an audience of just scientists, this would be a great explanation, but you guys already know this. I'm not going to bother and waste your time. But overall, just to kind of say it and put it in your frontal, kind of vision here, the narrative around Clover is changing. Okay, you go ahead and show me a company that does share buybacks that actually has, a business model that's competing with the incumbents. It's pretty damn good, right? So now let's go ahead. So what are ways this can break out? Oh, well, I think free cash flow positivity. They're still not free cash flow positive yet. I think full profitability, and I think revenue growth needs to increase in a sustainable fashion that's not burning cash, right? I think we won't see those 60s for a long time, if ever. And again, this might upset people, and I'm really sorry. You can cover your ears. I'm really sorry. But who of you guys are I'm happy if it falls down to 60 again. I mean, guys, I'm happy if it falls down to freaking 5 pennies, right? I know that's like insane, right? But if if it falls down to 5 pennies, the fundamentals may have changed, right? And then that I won't be so happy. But if everything stays the same as is and the stock drops to like 30 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents, guys, this is like an opportunity. You know what I mean? I mean, folks that took advantage of the 60 cents, you just made hold on. Before I start jumping out numbers here, I think what is it, 40%? Again, let's just say it. Let's just see, Hold on. There it is. 62 cents. Oh, I was wrong. 60. Hold on. Let me zoom out. I can't. Let me zoom in. People took advantage and was able to get 64% here. Let me just zoom in more because this is pretty good. 64.52%. So congratulations for all the people that took advantage of this. 64.52%. And if you held, okay, fine, 43.55%. I mean, guys, that's a pretty damn good. That's really good. Okay. That's a big jump, right? And again, we're speaking in pennies here, right? In terms of where this thing used to be and where I think it can go, right? But again, individuals that dollar cost averaged, yeah, they were rewarded, of course. So what is this? Around the pivoting point was April 23rd. So now let's go ahead and jump to IWM. Again, like I told you, this is a small cap ETF. So if we go to April 23rd, again, this is April 19th, my birthday. April 19th is my birthday. And you can see my birthday reversed. You know, maybe there might be some astrology here. I'm just kidding, right? Who knows, right? So there's something called astrology analysis or whatever. People, some technical analysis people use it. I don't buy it, but again, I guess if enough people believe in it, then I guess it becomes a fact, right? I mean, right? So, anywho, um, you could see that April 23rd is when Clover went ahead and started to bounce right here, because this was a huge increase, right? And then Clover bounced on April 23rd. But you can see though, you saw some type of you saw 2 days worth of increase, and then Clover responded. Because if you don't recall, I said 23rd was the pivoting point. So you can see the IWM is prognostic 2 days prior before Clover is bounced. And again, this is just using simple common sense by looking at the previous stock. There's quant investors that actually do this, that look at, when a company precedes, the index. Sometimes indexes are prognostic for other stocks, and people, quant hedge funds like, Jim Simmons, rest in peace, they use this type of analysis. This is the most simplistic. There's other analysis that use option flow and all this other stuff, right? But anyway, this is kind of like sharing with you this. So then now, and for folks that are questioning this, I've been having these lines. You see this little line here and this line here? I drew this like 6 months ago. If you don't remember, right? I drew these lines 6 months ago. And you can see how, and again, I have not moved this whatsoever, but I'm just going to push this out. Okay. You can see how it respects, and it bounced right on that, right? So you can see how again, it's good. This is good technical analysis. And I'm not the only person who drew these lines. I'm sure other technicians, because and again, you got that gap up here. There's a strong support line here, okay? Which is luckily over the 200-day moving average, okay? So now that we shot over the 50-day, now all eyes are on this support line and this crazy ass resistance line, okay? So I think this looks promising to where IWM could potentially outperform the S&P 500. Now, interestingly, and it already has in some instances, if you look at mid-year last year, in October, I think. But overall, I think that potentially 2025 and onwards, and potentially maybe a little bit in 2024, when rate cuts happen, this will be an opportunity for the small cap sector to essentially show its true colors. Okay. So if you were to ask me, Al, how are you able to sleep at night with kind of all this going on, Clover and just everything? Well, I sleep great because I'm like really tired when I come home. But how am I like kind of mentally doing with this? Because again, it's been, other stocks have done well, but Clover's been kind of a lagger. So how am I dealing with that? Well, I mean, honestly, guys, I'm actually doing really fine, because I know the long term, like whenever I like think about the stock, because we're all human, right? We all want things to go up, and we all want things to, show and materialize. But again, here I look at the data, and here's the thing, guys. This is like the first time I've talked about a company ever, and kind of followed it and kind of almost like a narrative analysis. And and again, not to like bring attention to people that have been critics of my thoughts on Clover, but I had a lot of people like talk some serious crap about me, right? And that to me, that was very educational, because as a future physician, I've seen physicians have patients talk crap about them. And that's very heartbreaking, given that, we spend half of our lives, learning about, how to take care of people. So to me, that was really educational. But, if you guys have been following, the channel, I have been very relentless on how bullish I am on Clover, and nothing's changed. Bears like bears typically do, they like to attack people that are bullish on something, and it's just fun for them, But we've been continuously focused on the long-term trajectory of this company. So, how can I sleep at night? How do I feel? Well, just like what Willie T says, and I'm going to go through all these comments here. The company's improving. Why lose sleep? Exactly. Right. So when the stock was 60 cents, a lot of people were really upset. But I looked at the greater picture. I said they closed off their cash burning side of the business. They're doubling down on industry leading MCR. They are a ticking time bomb when they activate the growth revenue perspective of their company, which is going to be massive because we've known for folks that have been around this company, you guys remember, when Andrew Toy wants to go to the moon, he'll go to the moon. But now he's going to, instead of going to the moon naked, he's going to go to the moon with, some cushion, some MCR cushion, right? He's going to be profitable, crazy ass growth, not just, cash burning crazy ass growth. It's not 2020 anymore, right? Or 2019. I mean, it was okay to do it in 2019. It's just the market's changed because alpha was a lot easier to find when everything's going up because Federal Reserve was printing money and inflation wasn't a problem. Interest rates are high now. So a lot of people are just putting in money in treasuries because that's a risk-free rate. And again, we can go into the risk-free rate equation and all this other stuff. I don't want to complicate things because then it just, there's no need, right? So I look at those things and I look at a company that just recently got a new CFO. And apparently, I've looked at the companies that this guy was involved in. That's not him. Hold on. Oh, no, wait. It's this one. I've looked at the companies he's been involved in, and this gentleman, I mean, heck, NASDAQ did a crazy celebration of him and not Scott Leffler, right? So, I mean, this guy is pretty well known. And, this lady, Dora Vell, has around 35,000 followers, more than me, posted about him, and pretty good, well connected, right? I think that this gentleman is really going to, in communication with the chief financial officer of the Medicare Advantage side, I think Clay is his name, with tremendous experience in Humana's growth endeavors that took the stock to the moon. I think this company is setting itself up to be a main player in the Medicare Advantage PPO space. Okay. So I am, how like the rabbit and the turtle, was it the rabbit? Was it the rabbit? Yeah, the rabbit versus the turtle in the race. The rabbit was cocky. The rabbit was taking naps, but the turtle was continuous. It kept on improving and it kept moving slowly and it kept focusing on that finish line. And the turtle won, right? I think Clover very slowly is moving towards that goal. Okay. Is moving towards that goal. And Clover internally is waiting on two things. One, to have Aetna and Humana slow down its growth in the Medicare Advantage side. So then patients can ultimately turn to the competition, which is Clover. And two, they're waiting for the government, if you know what I'm talking about, to ultimately create a pathway to allow Clover to have an opportunity at a profitable business model in the ACO Advantage space, given that a lot of healthcare insurance companies backed away from ACO. So there's a lot of great things to look forward to in this company. And it's just waiting for the thesis to show itself. given that nobody wanted to buy Enphase at 72 cents in 2017 because it was right after they diluted by a lot. The revenues were decreasing. But there were some people, for every seller, there's a buyer. There are some people that were buying, right? And those folks looked at the overall general thesis. And they said that, no, I believe this is the future. And I'm telling you right now, I believe what Clover Health is building is the future. And it's going to help physicians assist them into being able to catch diseases early. Okay. You could talk to all the doctors that are invested in Clover that are, you know, friends of this channel. But the thesis is quite simple. If you complicate it, things get hairy and you lose money. But overall, the only downside is the negative free cash flow. And that's what makes this high risk. But again, Enphase was negative free cash flow. I'm not saying all negative free cash flow companies you should go, they're great. But overall, I look at the risk to the risks to benefit ratio. And all I see is a company improving. And so that's kind of my 30,000 view. No numbers, just looking at the general trend line of this company. Okay. I think this gentleman is going to stay for Clover for a while. And he's going to be vested into making it great because his shares that is going to be given to him and he's going to earn them. They're going to be worth a lot more if Clover increases its intrinsic value. I assume that potentially after this happens, I assume that maybe potentially this channel, our channel here, will probably become more popular. But unfortunately, I'm not really going to, I'm not going to have a lot of time to invest as much as I've invested before into this channel, given residency and everything. But I'll be around. But I do believe that the thesis is coming true, and I believe you guys see it too now. And for the folks that have already seen it, good job. I mean, so it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, guys. I mean, this is very hard. This is not easy. So, I'm very excited for this gentleman here. And he just posted, it was great to attend BOA, Bank of America Healthcare Conference last week. We believe that we are well positioned and looking forward to providing updates on our progress. This builds trust, not only in the retail community space. Interesting. I want to see who liked it. So we have, head of growth, B2B software, SaaS. So, you can see that a bunch of, SaaS people are getting involved now in terms of kind of learning about Clover and seeing it as a new light in terms of, its SaaS capabilities. Let's see what else we have. Individuals that worked in the industry, like PayPal and Cisco. These are just people that have liked this comment of his here. This gentleman is more communicative than Scott Leffler. Given that Scott left so early and given that his tenure of jumping around through a lot of companies, well, first off, I need to respond back to this gentleman. He gives generic responses because, again, he's about growing. But what did he say? Thanks for connecting. Excited to be part of your network. Yeah. So this guy's proactive. I'm sure he has a team to help with his LinkedIn. But or maybe just doing it by himself. People enjoy, social media. This person is more proactive, and I think the retail community space, I myself being part of this space, I think, very thankful again, value creator, right? To having someone who's because again, guys, I've been blessed. I've been in a relationship for a long time, um, you know, 10 years, right? So the biggest thing I can kind of bestow upon relationships is, it's all about honesty and communication. And without honesty, you're not really communicating. And without communicating, can you be honest, right? So those two components are solid. And I think that this gentleman possesses these skills, and some may just be intrinsic talent, um, versus, let's say, someone, for example, like Scott. Um, uh, I don't even remember how you spell his name. Here it is. Someone like Scott, whom, uh, if you look at his tenure, was a CFO for 7 months, then was a CFO of Sortera 5 years, which was great, but then a year and 8 months for Clover, to ultimately get to a position where maybe this may have been more favorable for him, but who knows how long he'll stay there. Um, and the communication wasn't the best in comparison. And I'm not looking for a CFO to communicate every day. In communication to this gentleman, um, here, who's not even been 2 months in the job, less than 2 months, and has already communicated a lot. And so this is good to see, and I think it's prognostic to what's to come. I mean, he's all about scaling disruptive tech. It's really great. This may be the CFO that Clover needs. So anywho, kind of just a generic 30,000-foot view analysis over what I think is to come. Okay, so just recently, I can't say too much because it's patient confidentiality. But I was recently on a case that involves stem cells, and knowing, I was able to speak to the CEO of that company. They raised approximately $200 million in capital, and I, I've met with many CEOs in the past, and what I've learned is that some of them, the ones that are successful, have an intrinsic set of skills that are transferable and that are are pretty comparable to the successful CEOs I've spoken to, and leaders. And I believe that this gentleman here, just briefly, just looking at his activity, this gentleman's very serious, and I do believe that he. And again, this is just kind of my heuristics and my experience. Again, analyzing a lot of companies, so I think definitely this is a really big win for Clover. And again, you know not to forget about our gentleman. Was it Clay? Is it Clay Thorin? Who? Yeah, Clay Thorin. Not to forget about this gentleman here. He's doing great too, right? Again, the guy from Humana, right? So we're doing pretty good now. Nate, and again, I'm going to go through all the questions here. When will Clover turn on growth? Yeah. So just in closing, just I want to close with what Nate was asking. So that CEO, when I was talking with him, the one with the stem cells, I was talking to him about raising capital, because they raised capital right before the stock market fell in 2022. Literally right at that end point of 2021 to 2022, right when Putin invaded Ukraine. And we were talking about how one of his investors is Sam Altman. again, the CEO of OpenAI. And again, this is a small world, guys, and I'm trying to crack into this world myself. I do some research with some pretty cool folks. And it's a small world. And so we were talking about the IPO market, and I connected him with Chamath Palihapitiya, given his interest in in biotechnology, revolutionary type, um, you know, uh, studies. And we were talking about the IPO market, and we came to the conclusion that we believe potentially that 2026 plus, the end of 2025 and 2026 plus, is when the bull market, or at least not the bull market, because we can't really predict markets, is when the IPO markets are going to turn back on, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and because we believe interest rates are going to be reasonable to where people are going to start looking for alpha, generating money over the general consensus of how you can generate it. And like I talked about, the risk-free rate. So I believe Clover will start to, hopefully between now and then, will start to show proof of concept, which we already are starting to see now, given that they're just the way they are kind of putting this all in one page. And I'm sure, again, potentially his new CFOs helped him design this, because this is kind of different. We've never seen Clover kind of put this in one page, communicating everything. Communication now is very good. And I think that their growth machine will turn on the end of 2025 and potentially, I think, the start of 2026. But I believe by 2028 and 2029, I think when people look at Clover, then they will never believe what Clover is today. They're going to think that, if they were to look at the stock price today, they're going to be like, there's no way. How is this not talked about? And I can show you a lot of examples of other companies that were not talked about as well. So I think 2026 and plus is going to be the and again, it shifted. I was expecting it to be 2024, 2025, but the Federal Reserve keeps on pushing its interest rates because we thought inflation would go down a lot faster. So it's just pushed itself. Doesn't mean that our thesis was wrong. It's just, it's going to take time, right? So instead of the class of 2025, it'll be the class of 2026, 2027, or whatever, okay? Just got to work a little harder. And it's all you're doing is just, for me, in my case, I'm just waiting. And I'm working on other things that I'm passionate about, which is medicine and helping people. So that's kind of my analysis here. Has any other health insurance showed interest in? Yeah, so JP Morgan bought back in. They're increasing their share count in Clover. I need to look at other ones, but other institutions have doubled down as well. Oh yeah, Cinder Chops. Hey, I owe you a CLOV shirt. I forgot to put you on the list. Thanks for, hey man, I appreciate it. That's really nice. Yeah. Send me an email at support@alstocktrades.com or al@alstocktrades.com. And I'll definitely wear it in a live for sure with my spinny wheel fan hat, if I can find it. I think the dogs. I think Buddy ripped it, so might have to buy a new one. So let's see here, guys. Buying all the way down. I want the 60s. I'm just kind of reading through the comments. These moon stages. Barnes and Noble short squeeze thing. I see 16% short interest, but Friday it says 25. Have you taken? I have not taken a look at it yet. Speaking of the technical analysis grid points, we can also use our AI part of the stock terminals technical analysis, but I haven't. I just kind of use the brick and mortar here, and all the short interest that we have. Yeah, exactly. Companies improving revenue. I'm going to buy 20K more. Yeah, guys, it sounds pretty good, so that's kind of like my analysis of everything. And I really hope that, you guys are doing well. And, I just to give you, I don't want to end the video on this note because it's kind of depressing, but, given that I've been in the neurosurgery service, I've been seeing I've been seeing people's most terrible days happen every day. And I just want to say to you that, make sure the people around you, you tell them you love them. And I know it sounds kind of, kind of maybe buttery, stupid or something, but really, life is short. So make sure, you just kind of know that. And because, good people, bad things happen to them. So just kind of, be mindful. And sometimes, when you find yourself looking at Clover and checking the price a million times a day, when I first started out, I always used to do that. I was like, oh my God, what's a good, you'll learn to leave it alone. But if you're doing that and it's cutting into family time, just, understand that, time is limited. If you have children, I mean, heck, I know like kind of the American culture, by the time they're 18, they go to college. That's not too far. I mean, how many summers do you have left with your children? Right? They're in school for the full year. How many summers do you have left for your kids? There's not a lot, right? So just kind of be mindful of that. And just be again, just that's what matters the most, right? Because at the end of the day, you guys can make all the money in the world, but if you only have a week to live, it doesn't really matter. Because a good saying by Denzel Washington is, you'll never find a U-Haul behind a hearse. And for folks that don't know what a hearse is, it's a car that transfers coffin caskets to the grave. You don't really find a U-Haul behind those because there's no need, because you can't take anything with you. So just be mindful. Let's see here. Chelsea Clinton. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be begging. Oh, absolutely. It always happens. Being vulnerable is manly, displays strength. Absolutely. So the beautiful part about neurosurgeons is their grit, and they're just together. A neurosurgeon by himself is a warrior and is equivalent to 1,000 warriors. But a neurosurgeon with their team, they are unstoppable. They're like the Navy SEALs. And I've learned this a lot during my time with the neurosurgeons and rotating. I think the quote is from a Navy SEAL: individuals play the game, but teams beat the odds. And another good quote is, just because you work together doesn't make you a team. What makes you a team is respect, honesty, and a whole slew of things that one of the Navy people said. So I like the transferable nature of how it is equivalent to neurosurgery, because you can, it can be 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So I think in my experience, I think it was like 3 a.m., 2:58 a.m. and everything was just quiet. And all of a sudden, I, put my, head down on the table to take a 3-minute nap, and something crazy happened, and major car accident, multiple people with brain injuries, and you have to be on top of it, and work together and communicating with your fellow co-residents, given that sometimes you may be the only one there, and make sure the patient's life is preserved at all cost, and that evidence-based medicine practice is practiced at the highest level. So it's really nice. I really like that. So yeah, I do think being vulnerable is a strength, and it's a balance. Too much is bad, just like water, or oxygen. Too much oxygen is flammable. And too little is very bad for the body, in terms of you get hypoxia. So yeah, that's kind of my so far a little bit of what I've been learning at the hospital. The biggest part and most refreshing is working with people that put the needs of the patient first, and most importantly, working with people that truly, they value their sleep, right? But when push comes to shove, they are, hardcore motherfuckers, and I like that. I like people that are like that. So anywho, so yeah, very few can do what you do, Al. I commend the boxes you're checking on a daily basis, and you're generous enough to. No, absolutely, I appreciate it. Again, we're all in this together. A lot of people don't share their kind of secrets, or just kind of like just gems they learn. And I want to do that because, again, you can't take nothing with you. If you can make your common neighbor have a better day, then that's a good life to live. So I'm not too sure. 4.99% maybe or lower. It's hard to see because now you can't report it. It's under 5%. So all right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Alice, I appreciate it. No, you're too nice. You're too nice to me. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go learn more. Nero. I'm gonna go review the cases that I have tomorrow, so I am prepared. And yeah, guys, it's looking pretty good. It is looking pretty good, guys. It is. I'm very optimistic, and all we have to do now is let the people work for you. That's all it is. Let them work for you. You're not an employee here. You're an owner of a company. When you own shares, you own a piece of the business. You are an owner of the company. Sit back, relax, and watch these people work. Okay? That's all it is. And that's all I have for you guys. I appreciate all of you guys. God bless you again. Spend time with family. That's the best thing. And that's all I have for you guys. And I'll see you on the next one.